Hey everybody, Matt Frey. I want to talk today about the idea of repair in relationships because I used to believe that conflict presented evidence that a relationship was unhealthy, and it may very well mean that. But what I specifically mean is in my relationships, the existence of anything uncomfortable, any sort of like debate or argument, I resisted, I hated, I thought that my wife was often the problem in the relationship for introducing, what I perceived to be conflict, when really it was just her efforts to help me understand something that was negatively affecting her, something that she needed me to understand and was attempting to recruit me to cooperate with to make it go away so that we could have the requisite amount of safety and trust in our relationship. As some of you might know, I posit that trust, the existence of trust as an idea, as a condition, is the most critical, important thing we can have in our relationships, much more so than the idea of love. I think trust is the thing that most closely correlates with relationships that last. And the inverse of that being the absence or erosion of trust being the number one threat to relationships. And so I didn't like how it felt to have conflict in my relationship. And so I would sort of, I think, act maybe like a petulant child when it emerged. And I'd get really defensive and I would sort of like blame her for introducing something that I thought was going to be this argument, because I had no earthly idea how to like relate effectively to somebody. I've talked quite a bit about the idea of invalidating people when they bring to us some problem they're having, some bad feeling they're having, some bad experience they're having. And my default response patterns in my relationship were invalidating, and invalidation erodes trust. And so that's another topic for different videos, and I've got all sorts of content about that. But what I really want to encourage people to do is embrace, hopefully, the repair process in the relationship. If you never have conflict, then you're unskilled or unexperienced or inexperienced, and people frankly don't have a frame of reference or any sort of like historical precedent for fixing the bad thing, overcoming the brokenness, the disharmony that happens. And I want to talk about that. I want to give a shout out real quick to Terry Real. He writes, an author named Terrence Real, and he is, I've long heard that I'm like the idiot version of Terry. Like Terry is this like long-standing therapist, brilliant man, has been helping individuals and couples for many decades. And I just sort of like accidentally said a lot of the same things Terry does, but like the more idiot version of it. And the maybe generous way is the more like every man, every guy, average human version of it. Which I'm happy to do. But I want to make sure Terry's credited for this, because it's not some smart guy thing that I thought of. This is something that I'm borrowing from Terry. But it really helped me reframe how I thought in my own head about the existence of conflict in the relationship. I used to think it was always bad, and now I think it's good. Not too much of it, certainly. But if you don't have conflict, then you don't have a means of practicing repair in the relationship. And repair, that process in the relationship, is what grows or blossoms trust, the thing we need most to make our relationships last. So anyway, I drew this crude little like cyclical thing about what healthy relationships look like. There are periods, and this is again Terry Real, there are periods of harmony, which are awesome, periods of disharmony, they cycle into that, which are shitty, and then there's the repair process, which is what restores safety and trust in the relationship. And then we cycle back into harmony. And I think in an ideal world, we're spending a lot more time in a state of harmony than disharmony or having to repair anything. But I believe that two individuals in a relationship together, skilled at the repair process, are constantly reinforcing the idea that they can trust one another. Therefore, they can have healthy relationships together. And I think that's a really good thing. So anyway, please consider that opportunities where your partner comes to you and says something's wrong and you're like a little bit annoyed, a little bit pissed, don't want to have a fight, maybe consider that these are the moments in which you are actively building trust in your relationship, which is the most critical thing that you can be doing if you're not maintaining a ton of it already. And so anyway, I think mindset shifts are very powerful, and I used to like recoil at the idea of having to have like a complicated, uncomfortable conversation with somebody I was in a relationship with. And now I recognize it as the opportunity to build the relational skills I need in order to do that. There's volumes of information that you can Google about how to effectively navigate this repair process. I don't pretend to be skilled at, conflict and negotiation and things like that. But please seek out Terry or any number of other people that might be able to help you explore what it would look like to navigate the repair process effectively. The way that I talk about it is simply to be skilled at validating, to be skilled at considering the other person when you speak, when you act. But there might be more sort of prescriptive ways out there that resonate with you. But the point of this was just to get you thinking about how critical the repair is to building trust in the relationship. So instead of being upset that there's conflict, be excited that there's an opportunity to go through this really critical repair process necessary to build trust. And so, as you probably know, my book, This Is How Your Marriage Ends, came out at the end of March. It'd be so amazing if you wanted to explore some of these ideas further, if you would pick up a copy or read it. Otherwise, thanks for paying attention. Follow me on all the social channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can visit me at matthewfrey.com and subscribe to this channel if you want more low budget videos like this one. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.